To Russia with love. It wasn't just the Vikings who were marauding around. In 811, the Byzantine Emperor Nicephorus I was killed in a battle with the Bulgars, a race so savage that they set the skulls of their enemies in silver and used them as cups. For centuries, Bulgar was used as a shorthand for a barbarian capable of any depravity. It's where the word bugger comes from. As if that wasn't bad enough, the Utrecht Psalter, produced at Reims in 832, includes the first known picture of a church organ. Oh, the horror. So, the empire tried a new policy of turning these cheeky Bulgars into Christians. They would then be less likely to attack Constantinople because A, the emperor would be their Christian leader, and B, they would be bored into inactivity by the church services. They had tried this tactic before with mixed results. The Khazars were so unimpressed by the Christian missionaries who went to them that when the missionaries left, the tribe converted to Judaism. So the Byzantines invaded Bulgaria and forcibly baptized their king Boris. Boris was eventually given a patriarch of his very own, a patriarch for the Bulgarian Church, the first new patriarch since Constantinople. Since all the other old patriarchies were now in Muslim territory, this was a significant development. Other areas wanted the benefits of Christianity as well. In 862, the Slavs, under King Ratislav of Moravia, asked Constantinople to send priests to conduct the services and teach the people. Emperor Michael III sent two brothers, Methodius and Cyril, who had learned the Slavonic language in Thessalonica. There was no written alphabet, so Cyril devised one, a kind of glammed-up Greek with some Latin, a bit of Hebrew, or possibly Samaritan, and quite a lot of symbols he just dreamed up. Cyril died during the translation, but his brother finished the job, and the script they devised later became known as Cyrillic. Today it is used throughout Russia and Eastern Europe. I suppose if it had been named after the other brother, it might have been called Methodist. Around the same time, a group of Varangians, testing me today, a Viking tribe, settled the very north of Europe, in Novgorod. They were also known as the Rus, a name that may be derived from rods, the Old Norse word for men who row. And from Rus, of course, we get Russia. They were fearsome warriors. From the early 900s, groups of Varangians served as mercenaries in the Byzantine army. They eventually became the Varangian Guard, the personal bodyguard of the emperors. Vladimir I was the Varangian leader of Rus. His grandmother had been a Christian. But his father, Sviatoslav, refused baptism on the perfectly reasonable grounds that his soldiers would laugh at him. Then Vladimir converted to Christianity. According to the story, his emissaries came back from Constantinople and, overcome by the majesty and beauty of the services, told him, "In that place God lives among men." There may have been a more mundane reason. A rebel army was on the point of seizing Constantinople, and the Byzantine Emperor Basil needed Vladimir's rowing team, as it were. Vlad agreed on one condition. He wanted to marry the emperor's sister. This was tricky. For one thing, Vladimir already had 4 wives, a reputed 800 concubines, and presumably a very bad pack. But he was a pagan. Still, needs must. Vladimir got the girl, on condition he also got baptized. Despite this unpromising start, his proved to be a genuine conversion. Following his baptism in 988, he dismissed his other women and ordered the destruction of all pagan idols. The idol of Perun was first beaten with sticks, then bound to a horse's tail and dragged into the river. He built churches and monasteries and imported the Slavonic liturgy and scriptures developed by Cyril and Methodius, which is how Russia got the Cyrillic alphabet. He fed the poor and needy and abolished torture and the death penalty, which makes 10th century Russia more liberal than many countries are today. And that is how Russia went Orthodox. This was a time of relative strength in the Byzantine Empire. The church was so entwined with the state that all significant church festivals required the presence of the emperor. And the wealth of the empire was lavished on the church, particularly on the monasteries. It was at this time that Mount Athos, the holy mountain, was colonized. It is the closest thing Orthodoxy has to the Vatican, a monastic republic built on a rocky peninsula in the Aegean Sea. It contains many communities, but its most important, the Great Lavra, was established in 963. Later, groups from the Russian, Serbian and other Orthodox churches established monasteries on the mount. Now an autonomous state within Greece, it still follows the Julian calendar, so it is 13 days behind the rest of the world, and it maintains an absolute prohibition on women. Only males are allowed on the mount, including livestock.